What happens when a country tries to protect its industry with tariffs, but ends up destroying the very thing it was trying to save? That's exactly what's happening right now in the US aluminum sector. Tariffs were supposed to bring smelters back to life, make America strong again in metals, and reduce reliance on foreign imports. Instead, the US industry is collapsing, consumers are paying higher prices, and Canada is seizing the moment to become the world's most trusted aluminum supplier. This isn't just about beer cans or car parts. This is about control of future supply chains, energy, green technology, even national defense. And right now, America is ceding that control to others. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss our deep dives into global economics, trade wars, and the shifting balance of power. US aluminum imports collapse. Let's begin with the numbers, because they tell the story better than anything. Aluminum imports into the United States have fallen to a 3-year low, and that's not by accident. Tariffs, first introduced under the Trump administration and carried forward in different forms, were supposed to discourage imports and give US smelters a chance to compete. But here's the reality: the US can't produce enough aluminum to meet demand. Even before tariffs, America was heavily dependent on imports. In fact, about 90% of the primary aluminum used in US manufacturing comes from abroad. Tariffs didn't change that. They just made aluminum more expensive for US companies to buy. Think about what that means in practice. A car manufacturer in Detroit still needs aluminum to build cars. A beer company in Colorado still needs cans. An aerospace company in Seattle still needs lightweight, durable metal. They can't just stop buying aluminum because tariffs made it more expensive. They either pay the higher price, or they look for alternative suppliers outside the US. Instead of helping, tariffs created shortages, inflated prices, and pushed many industries closer to the edge. That's why economists are calling this one of the clearest examples of a policy backfiring in real time. America's smelters, a dying industry. Now let's talk about the smelters themselves. Back in the 1980s, the US had 24 fully operating aluminum smelters spread across the country. Today, only 4 remain, and they're not even running at full capacity. Why? Because aluminum smelting is one of the most energy-hungry industries on the planet. To produce a single ton of aluminum, you need more electricity than an average household uses in an entire year. That means smelters only make sense in places with abundant, cheap, and stable energy. In the US, electricity costs are simply too high. Natural gas, coal, and even renewable sources don't provide the same low-cost consistency needed for smelting. Every time energy prices spike, US smelters are the first to feel the pain. That's why, even with tariffs, smelters haven't reopened. The economics just don't add up. Restarting old smelters isn't realistic either. Once these facilities shut down, it takes hundreds of millions of dollars and years of investment to bring them back online, assuming the workforce and infrastructure are even available. In most cases, those resources are gone forever. So when US leaders talk about tariffs bringing back the aluminum industry, they're really selling an illusion. The foundation of that industry crumbled decades ago. Everyday ripple effects, the hidden tax on consumers. Now here's where it hits home. Aluminum isn't just some obscure industrial material, it's everywhere. Beer cans, soda cans, cars, airplanes, smartphones, construction materials, and packaging all depend on it. When tariffs push aluminum prices up, the costs don't stop at the factory. They roll downhill straight to the consumer. Beer companies pay more for cans, so they raise prices. Automakers face higher material costs, so cars become more expensive. Home builders pay more for windows and siding, so the cost of housing rises. It's basically a hidden tax. Politicians can say, "We're protecting American jobs," but in reality, they're forcing every American family to pay more just to live their daily lives. That's why many industry groups, from brewers to automakers, have lobbied against these tariffs. They see them not as protection, but as punishment. And here's the kicker: the jobs saved in the smelting industry are tiny compared to the jobs threatened in industries that use aluminum. We're talking about a few thousand smelting jobs versus millions of jobs in downstream industries. It's like burning down a house to save one room. Canada's hydro-powered advantage. While the US is stuck in this trap, Canada is thriving. Why? Because Canada has something America doesn't: cheap, abundant hydroelectric power. Canadian provinces like Quebec and British Columbia built massive hydro dams decades ago. Today, those dams generate some of the cleanest and cheapest electricity in the world. Aluminum smelters in Canada can run at full capacity while keeping costs low. That makes Canadian aluminum not only competitive, but also among the greenest on the planet. This is a big deal in today's economy. Automakers and tech companies are under pressure to clean up their supply chains. They don't just want aluminum, they want green aluminum. And Canada is perfectly positioned to deliver it. So while US smelters shut down and struggle to survive, Canadian producers are scaling up, winning contracts, and locking in long-term deals. The US tariffs, instead of hurting Canada, actually helped it by making Canadian aluminum the obvious, reliable choice. New trade routes to Europe and Asia. And Canada isn't just supplying the US anymore. With American tariffs driving up prices, Canada has started looking beyond its southern neighbor. Canadian aluminum is now flowing to Europe and Asia, feeding demand in industries like electric vehicles, renewable energy, and construction. These markets are exploding in size, and Canada is building relationships that will last decades. Europe, in particular, is desperate for secure and sustainable suppliers after years of dependence on Russian energy and metals. Asian countries, led by China and India, are expanding rapidly and need more aluminum than ever. By stepping in, Canada is reshaping global trade routes, positioning itself as a central hub in the future economy. The irony is almost too perfect. US tariffs designed to isolate foreign producers ended up pushing Canada to expand its reach globally. Instead of weakening Canada, the policy turned it into a stronger, more influential player. Tariffs that turned into self-sabotage. At the heart of this story is one simple truth: the US tariffs backfired. They stacked on top of each other, creating higher costs, reduced supply, and increased reliance on imports. The exact opposite of what they were supposed to achieve. Protectionism only works if the protected industry can actually bounce back. In this case, aluminum smelting in the US can't bounce back. It's too energy-intensive, too outdated, and too far gone. All tariffs did was make life harder for businesses and consumers, while handing an open playing field to Canada. This isn't just an economic mistake, it's a strategic one. Aluminum isn't a luxury metal. It's a backbone material for everything from fighter jets to satellites. Losing control of it means losing leverage in global supply chains. The deeper danger: losing supply chain control. And that's the real danger here. Aluminum is more than beer cans and soda tabs. It's essential for aerospace, defense, renewable energy, and the green transition. If the US doesn't control its supply chains, it becomes dependent on others for critical industries. That dependence reduces leverage in trade negotiations. It weakens national security. And it puts the US at risk in a world where supply chains are increasingly used as weapons. Just look at what happened with semiconductors, rare earth minerals, or even vaccines during the pandemic. Whoever controls the supply controls the future. Right now, Canada is showing how to do it right, using energy, trade partnerships, and sustainability to build an industry that's secure, competitive, and globally connected. Meanwhile, the US is watching its aluminum industry implode under its own rules. So what do we learn from this? Tariffs aren't magic wands. You can't just slap fees on imports and expect an industry to revive. If the fundamentals are broken, like high energy costs and outdated infrastructure, tariffs just make the problem worse. Canada understood the fundamentals. It built cheap, renewable power. It invested in long-term smelting capacity. It leaned into global markets. And now, it's reaping the rewards. The US, on the other hand, is stuck with higher costs, weaker industries, and growing dependence. What was supposed to be protectionism turned into self-sabotage. And unless there's a major shift in strategy, America could lose control of yet another critical supply chain. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe for more in-depth looks at the economic battles shaping our world.